Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here of the Real Talk with Ben podcast. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you took time out of your day or your night or your morning just to listen to me, to hopefully be encouraged. Hopefully God will speak through me and hopefully encourage you as you go on throughout your day, or maybe you go on throughout your weekend. And I really hope that you can take something from this and hopefully be encouraged in this time of really being a time of unknown and a time of we don't really know what's going on. So I really hope you're encouraged. And if you're new, my name is Ben, and this is my podcast where you can hear about life, where we talk about what's going on in ministry here in Hungary, what we talk about what's going on in the world, basically anything that comes to my heart. And I try to glorify God in everything that I do. And so I'm so glad you're here. I hope you stay tuned for more, not only just podcast episodes, but you can head over to my YouTube channel and check out more videos that I do as well. And so with that, let's get started. And before we get into the video itself, as many of you know, I'm over here in Hungary. Even though we don't necessarily, as a country, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I know I'm going to try to do it. Rebecca is actually going to be staying here on campus in another part of campus. Then hopefully we'll be able to celebrate Thanksgiving together next Thursday. And so as you're listening to this, if you're listening to this later on, it doesn't really matter. But definitely, if you're listening to this now, I'm going to be taking a break for the holiday. So I will not be recording a podcast episode next Thursday due to it being Thanksgiving, and just due to allowing myself to have a little break, allow myself to be just thankful and to just reflect on an amazing year so far. And so with that, I will be saying, though, that I'm going to be putting together a video that I will release on Thanksgiving Day. That's just a little thank you video. It's a little just a journey video. I haven't really decided really what I'm going to talk about. So if you would just be staying tuned and kind of make sure you follow my YouTube, make sure you follow my Facebook. I'll be kind of posting updates there about that video, but hopefully that'll be recorded here either this weekend or in the next coming days. So that is what's going on there. And yeah, so I hope that you are excited to celebrate Thanksgiving with your family. I hope maybe, I don't, depending on what state you're in, I don't really know what's going on too much, but hopefully you'll be able to spend it with family, or at least be able to FaceTime with family. I know that's what I'm going to try to do is FaceTime my family and stuff. But I really wanted to, and by the way, saying that, that's kind of the topic of today. And I kind of wanted to do a Thanksgiving episode, either like after or before. And I know I'm doing a kind of a Thanksgiving video, but I really wanted to take a time a little longer, being a podcast episode, and just talk about being thankful. And it's kind of interesting, in a time where, the media and, everyone around us is just so downcast. I think that's a word, really just being bummed out, discouraged, basically telling us to like hate this year, hate everything going on. There's just so many bad things going on in the world, and you're right. And I'm not oblivious to that. I see it as well. And I see it from different areas as well. And so I'm not here to tell you that this year has been amazing and this year has been wonderful and you'll never expect another year like this, which I guess is in some cases hopefully true. But I wanted to take the time to talk about being thankful in a time when in reality people are telling us we can't be thankful. Now, I know that's hard, and probably for many of us, that's something that we don't really want to think about and maybe even avoid thinking about. But I wanted to be here today to encourage you that as you head off to Thanksgiving, whether that's at home, whether that's at a friend's house, whether you're in another country like myself, to reflect on what God has done with you this past year. Now, many might tell me, well, Ben, it's a weird Thanksgiving. Everything's just been going crappy. I might have lost my job. I have to wear this stupid mask everywhere, all these different things, everything going on with politics and everything like that. And you're right. It's tough to be able to look at and say, this year's been amazing. And I want to be honest with you, it's sometimes hard for me to think about that. But I want to start off with not necessarily a story, but something that I heard when I was in college. And I don't actually remember the class or the conversation that this was in, but I remember it was an elderly gentleman that was either a guest speaker in a class, or we heard talking to us in a group. And he simply said these words: there is never a time where you can't be thankful. And at the time, as a college student, you just kind of sit there and like, well, thank you for those kind words, sir. Little did I know that this was going to be the defining kind of reality that I was going to be living in a few years. I didn't know as a junior in college that in 3.5 years, I'd be going through a pandemic, in another country, and all these different things. And yet, for some reason, last night, as I was laying down in bed, as I was trying to think, these words came to my head. There's never not a time to be thankful. And I think all of us can take those words and we can apply those in different ways. And maybe some of you will just laugh and be like, yeah, whatever. But I think he's onto something. God, first off, I think we need to be thankful that God has us here today in whatever way it is. And so I have 5 things that I know I can be thankful for. And I think in those, I can also point out things that we can all be thankful for. I think number 1 is that I serve an amazing God who's in control. And I can be thankful for that. And I think we all can be thankful for that. We don't serve a God who picks and chooses when he needs to be in control, when he gives up control. No. God is always in control. God knew this pandemic was going to happen. He knew that you might have lost your job. He knew that we'd have to wear masks. He knew that we might not be able to see our aunts and uncles or grandparents for holidays. But in the same time as he knew that his glory would be profound and would be shown. So as we serve an amazing God, we also serve a God who cares. God hasn't given up on us. I remember reading in Psalms, and you hear all these Psalms, how, and Proverbs, both of them, how God's always there for us. God's his footsteps and everything. All these different verses and songs and all these different things that you hear. And sometimes it's hard to believe them. But now more than ever, I sit back and I read those verses. I go into Philippians and I read some of my favorite passages. I go into the New Testament, the Old Testament. I look at both sides and I see all the things that I'm reminded of. That our God does not change, even though our circumstances in the world might change. And that's something that I think we can never forget, and something that I hope we all can take and really, focus on, is the fact that our God doesn't change, even though our circumstances might change. And I think with that, I kind of want to move into the second one. And I know that was just such a broad one, but for me, number 2 is Rebecca. And as you know, I talk about her a lot. And yes, she's not been on my podcast yet. Rebecca, I know you're listening. Hopefully we can do that sometime. But no, in all seriousness, Rebecca has been a blessing beyond anything that I expected, anything that I ever dreamed of. I came over here to serve Christ, and I came over here to serve God and to ultimately glorify him in everything that I do. And I remember a pastor once saying, when you honor God, he will bless you. And I truly have been blessed. And this girl is always making me a better man, is always encouraging me, is always trying to push me towards doing what's right, to follow what God says, and to ultimately walk alongside me in life. And I never would have thought coming to Hungary in a pandemic, during a pandemic, even though I was here before. That's a long, anyways. While I've been here in a pandemic, I never would have thought that I would meet the girl that really, truly has impacted my life in the way she has. I've prayed about someone like Rebecca for years and years, through all the struggles, through all the disappointments that I've made in my own life, to finally sit back and just focus on Christ and focus on what he is doing. And to see this happen has just been a blessing beyond measure. And I am so grateful for Rebecca. I'm so grateful for her family and just what she's meant to me. And I know she probably doesn't like all this. She doesn't like this kind of public admiration, but I truly am just totally blessed. And I'm so glad that she's going to actually be coming here in a few days, and to be able to spend time with her. And we haven't really seen each other in a while. So to be able to do that and to be able just to continue to grow together is truly amazing. And so with that, and kind of connected with that, I guess the third thing I'm thankful for is the fact that I still get to do my amazing job in this weird time. And if you don't know, and if you don't really pay attention or follow, or you're new, one of the three, um, it's my job used to be working with local church ministries. I've kind of shifted away from that, at least for the time being, but most likely for a while. And I've been doing media for the past 4 or 5 months. It's been a blessing to be able to make videos, to be able to help out with audio, to be able to help out with these different things, to not only encourage our students through different videos, but also to encourage our supporters to be able to make videos for Word of Life, to just show what we need, maybe what's going on. But this job's been amazing, and it's one of those jobs where it's not really that affected too much by COVID, and it's a job that I've been blessed with. I remember when I was raising support to come here, I never thought that this was the job I'd be doing. In all reality, I never even thought this was a possibility. But little did I know that God has his ways, and God's always going to have his ways, and he's never going to quit on us. And even when the world says we need to quit, he always is going to open up doors, and this is a door that's been opened. And, as many of you know, and I've said this on this podcast millions of times, my ultimate dream is to do media for a living and ultimately for ministry. And, this is just one step, and I hope to continue these steps. And I hope that, this podcast becomes something more than amazing. And my videos and everything like that. It's not a job, it's a ministry. And honestly, I don't even consider this a job, what I do here. It's honestly just fun for me. I just enjoy it so much. So to me, it's not really a job. It's just almost a hobby that becomes a job in a weird way. But ultimately, I just give the glory to God, and I absolutely love it. And I think any of us, no matter where we are in job status, whether you're looking for a job, whether you don't have a job, or whatever we're doing, not necessarily the job necessarily, but maybe what your hobby is or what you enjoy, like that's a blessing from God that you're able to do that on a daily basis. I think that's something that I've realized more and more, that, God gives us those abilities to use. And I'm so glad that I get to use them every single day for his glory, and ultimately to also help out Word of Life as well. And number 4, this one's a weird one. I don't really know how to describe it, but I'm really thankful for the little things. And I think really as Christians, we look past this. We think of this as just a thing that happens, or like, these little things that happen. But ultimately, these little things are huge. So what I mean by a little thing is maybe the conversation you have with a friend via FaceTime, phone call, or maybe in person, distancing. Or maybe it's just the note that you receive from someone at church or a friend. The little things have grown so much to me, and they mean so much to me. I learned a few years ago when my grandpa passed away that the little things mean more than we realize. The time spent means more than we realize. The conversations, the attitude we have towards others. My motto has always been, I hope I make one person smile. That will be my day. That'll be a successful day. If I make one or more people smile is always just my goal. And those little things can go a long way. I've had multiple people tell me, Ben, how do you stay so positive? And I tell them, I say, it's not that I have to be, it's because I want to be. And I want to stay positive because I know my God's amazing. And I know that if I can make your day a little bit better by just encouraging someone on the podcast, whether that's a video or maybe that's just talking to them, then I've done my job. And ultimately, that's my goal. Is I want to do my job well. I want to do my job, in the way that pleases the Lord. And I think that's the best, and the ultimate thing we can ask for is that we're doing what we can to please the Lord. And I think the little things, I remember a professor telling us that what you choose can define moments, right? So what you choose in life can define the next few moments, next few months, years, whatever. And I think if we ignore the little things and we only focus on things that, that mean a big thing, right? That they show a lot or they make you popular or whatever, you hide the fact that what you're supposed to do is honor God. And if it's just, picking up a bag for an elderly person or opening the door for somebody, like those little things still are the same meaning as doing something bigger. And I think that's really, really important. And ultimately, I think we need to always do whatever glorifies God. And I think in the long run, I don't think God wants us to be selfish with our time. I think God wants us to be able to use our time wisely. And if using our time wisely means just having those conversations, or, maybe it's your neighbor that you notice it hasn't come out in a while and you want to go see how they're doing. Um, I know that this time during the coronavirus and over 2020 has been very rough for many. I'm going to be also include myself. I know during the first quarantine we had here in Hungary, obviously we're in another state of emergency. We have this weird curfew, things going on now. But back when coronavirus first hit Hungary, and for about 2 months, I was kind of, wasn't really allowed to go anywhere. I will be honest, there was a couple depressive times. I really struggled with what's my purpose? What am I doing? And I'm sure we all are. But it was the little conversations I had with friends back home, with people encouraging me, with just ultimately people just being there for me in a time when I felt alone. I felt like there was no one there, and in another country, in a place far away. Maybe someone's not as some would say severe as mine, where they're far away or they're not around anybody, but maybe they just need that encouragement. Maybe they feel alone even though they're around their friends. Maybe they don't have that person. I always say that I'm glad I have Rebecca, because it's someone for sure that I know I could talk to every single day, and I can always be encouraged by her. And I think the little things go a long way, the little conversations, the little things we do, the little acts we do. So I don't think we can forget that. And I don't think we can ever take that for granted. And I think we need to focus on that. And this COVID-19 might not ever go away. Maybe it's always going to linger, but this time will end. There will be a time when things get back to normal the best they can. There'll be a time when we can do things we want again. I believe that. And maybe you don't believe that. I know for sure I believe that. I hope you do as well. So I just encourage you to focus on those things, focus on those little things. They can go a long way. And fifthly, and finally, I kind of did a double. I'm sorry. I did my God again. I serve an amazing God. And I say it after every podcast episode, every video I do. I think we take sometimes God for granted. And you might be like, Ben, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a strong opinion. And I'm like, I don't really think so. I think sometimes we just think, oh, well, God, take care of it. All right. And we don't go to him in prayer. We don't, take time to focus on him. And I'm a victim. I'm not a victim. That sounds terrible. I'm also at fault for that. I sometimes take God for granted. I don't do the things I'm supposed to do and I should do. So I think we need to stop taking God for granted, that, God's always going to be there for us. Even in this unknown time, in this unknown world, God's the same. Just like I said at the beginning, God is the same no matter what. And so I think as we look at this Thanksgiving time, as we look into this Thanksgiving, week or whatever, and then as we ultimately go into Christmas and the holiday time, let us take a step back. Let's take a step back and look at our lives in a different light. How might we change the perspective that I have of this world right now for the good of the Lord? How can I be better in a time that tells us we need to just be depressed and we need to stop worrying? We need to worry about stuff more and more. My challenge for myself is that during this next time, I will take at least a couple moments a day where I'm having a conversation with somebody that might be uplifting, might be encouraging, not so much to, shooting down somebody or complaining, but in fact, doing the opposite. Something I struggle with, and I need to do better at that. So I challenge you, make a commitment through these Thanksgiving holiday, through Christmas, through the new year. Make a commitment that you want to change something very important in your life. So like I said at the beginning of this episode, this is the last episode before Thanksgiving. Obviously, next week is Thanksgiving. I will not be having an episode during Thanksgiving. Just, as I said, give me a little break, little time. But I will be having a Thanksgiving kind of episode, Thanksgiving video, not episode, video on my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, awesome. If you're not, head on over there. On Thursday, it'll be kind of like a thank you for this past year, everything like that. And then, and then I think Friday, I still have debating next Friday if I'll have a Friday recap. I'll probably announce that tomorrow on my Friday recap. So once again, thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, go ahead and put that in your weird follow thing, whatever, however you do that. I always forget. I should figure that out. But go ahead and do that. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to make sure that you are all in tune with what's going on, in touch with what's going on. You know what's happening here. And also you get to see, like the Thanksgiving video that's coming out next week. So once again, I want to remind you of this. We serve an amazing God, that he is faithful and you can trust him. And as always, we'll talk next time.